Good morning officially to everyone. So far, all my devices are working on every single platform, Facebook, Periscope, and GoToWebinar. I'm Natasa Denman, and these are our Monday morning 9 a.m. coffee chats, so we can hit off our week in business with a bang. As always, I have finished my personal training session, quickly made myself look semi-decent because we obviously got video happening on Facebook and Periscope, and we've got lots of people who have joined us through GoToWebinar. So those of you that are on GoToWebinar, if you can just say a quick hello and that you can see and hear and obviously see the PowerPoint presentation. A couple of times I'll show you a little bit on the other platforms what's happening here. Good morning, Andrew and Elaine as well, all over again, up and early in Perth. Sounds good from Colin. Hey, Anna, great to see you as well. And I think we've got quite a few joining through Facebook and Periscope as we speak. Okay, guys, so this half an hour goes super fast. This is our complimentary coffee chat small business talk through the Ultimate Business Support Facebook group. So if you're not part of that and you're coming through some of the other platforms, make sure you join because we have an awesome almost 12,000 member community there. What we have started doing recently is bringing on some special guests, because for 8 months I kept bringing a lot of content to you, and that doesn't mean I won't, but for a few weeks or a couple of months I'm taking a seat back and putting someone else in the spotlight. And so far we've had 2 awesome guests, and thank you for all the wonderful feedback that has come from having those guests on board. Also, I get to learn. I have my little piece of paper here as well as a pen that I'm going to be taking some notes because I pick up little aha moments along the way. So this morning is all about Eric Chan, and Eric and I have become good business buddies, colleagues. Well, Eric says that I've been a little bit of a mentor to him without me knowing, which is lovely to hear. And so I'll introduce you to him, and I'm going to put a little picture of who he is here on my PowerPoint presentation. I'll show you guys a little bit later. But this is Eric Chan. So, and his wonderful wife and daughter. He's 25, I made him younger, 29 years old. He's got that gorgeous 3-year-old daughter, and he's actually a psychology major. He used to work in Crown Casino as a poker dealer, can you believe? And then a behavioural therapist with autistic kids, and finally medical research as National Cognitive Assessment Coordinator with Monash and Alfred Hospital. So he has got a varied background, but in 2014, he started out on his entrepreneurial journey in coaching, and specifically more so public speaking. So he is niched into pitching, so how to find that to the point, exact pitch, and he realized that there was this gap in the market with so many presentation coaches who lacked science and empirically based knowledge in capturing attention. So he actually has got a scientific method behind how to pitch, and he uses his game-based experience to teach this stagecraft and speaking. So he's helped business owners and professionals magnetize presenting opportunities by teaching them how to construct and convey their message with precision, clarity, and impact. Wow, awesome. So you've got lots of listeners here, Eric, even from France and Italy over on Periscope. So welcome, and thank you for being part of our call and coffee chat.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Natasha, for having me on.
Lovely, lovely. And I don't know if you knew that I was going to put all these pictures of you on there, but I thought they were appropriate.
No, I didn't know, but you chose one of my favorite photos of my daughter, Emily, so yeah, I'm very happy there.
I looked last night all over your Facebook. I'll show some of the other guys what this actually looks like. So tell me, let's hit it off. I'll show you stuff while you're sort of talking, because otherwise they're just seeing my face. So what are the top 3 mistakes do you think people make when it comes to their pitch, Eric?
Well, I wanted to bring some, different angles to you, but there's one particular mistake that I absolutely have to focus on when it comes to pitching and presentation is lack of preparation. Lack of preparation. I'm sure that we all know as business owners, preparation is king, but people seem to take their pitching and presentation as secondary a lot of the time. But they don't realize that being on stage is what they consider wealth time, because you have this amazing opportunity to build rapport with so many people at once.
Yeah.
And all I find is that people always tell me that they didn't prepare, or they're preparing on the spot. And then when they get up there to deliver their pitch, they regret what they have chosen to do.
Yes. Because they try to wing it, yes?
Yeah, they absolutely try to wing it. And I really, again, think it stems from people thinking that pitching is a secondary activity to all their business activities. And that's why they choose to wing it. Time and time again, I come across people who choose to prepare last minute rather than taking it as a serious primary activity in their business endeavors.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do they do?
So I reckon the second top mistake is that they have too much detail in their pitches. I'm sure you and I go to the same business marketplace and we see people get up to do a 60-second pitch, and they think that perhaps inundating people with detail is the way to go. I call it the machine gun method, where they try to just machine gun you with as much detail as possible. And if they get every little single point across to their audience, then they'll see the value of what they have. And that's the real mistake. They think that inundating people will mean value. But of course, we all know the human attention span is actually quite small. And when it gets too much detail, I don't know about you, Nat, but it sort of glaze over me, and I get kind of distracted instantly.
Well, I have a perfect saying that I say to many people in my teachings, and then that is that a confused mind will always say no. So if you do use that machine gun approach, it's you get people confused, and therefore they don't listen. Their mind just switches off.
Yeah, and that's so true. And that's why I always encourage people to just concentrate on one element and explore it more thoroughly instead of trying to fit so much in. And they have to realize that when it comes to pitching and presentation, the power of influence is actually in the delivery rather than in the content itself per se. So if they can slow it down, have more emphasis, pauses, tonality, that actually is more impactful than trying to put as much detail as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. And even just as you're speaking, even right now, you're doing it. You know what I mean? And every word that you're saying is being understood. What do you guys think? I mean, please comment or post questions as Eric is speaking, because I'll pass those on as to what you're saying, and we can explore this a little bit further. Awesome. So what's then the third mistake?
The third mistake, I think people don't really talk about that much, is relying too much on rote learning, as in trying to memorize their speech. And then in consequence, they are being too attached to the words that they've written down. I know that for me, when I prepare some of my pitches and presentations, I write these little gems of phrases that I go, oh, I must have them into my speech. So I try to learn it off by heart, which is an effective method. Of course, if you can get the perfect wording, it'd be fantastic to be able to deliver it in that way. But what I believe is that people get too attached to the words. So when they get onto the stage and they start pitching and they deviate from their planned script even just a little bit, it sort of throws them into a confusion. I don't know if you've experienced and seen people do that. Like they start talking and then they say something, and all of a sudden they pause and then they backtrack and they try to reword. And that just shows me that people get too attached to rote learning their pitches.
Yeah.
You can't get too attached. I personally believe that you should just learn it as much as you can, prepare as well as you can. And when you get up there, you just got to go with the flow and be authentic. And usually it comes to you.
I agree. I like the fact that how you said just remember certain phrases you want to say rather than the whole thing word for word, because we've seen time and time again how many people use their train of thought, and that was the one thing that I didn't want to do early on in my journey, is having to remember my what I needed to say, because then it didn't come across as authentic and it came across as really, really scripted. So
I agree, Nat. Like you see those times when people, they start talking normally and then all of a sudden they go into script mode, and you can see their whole facial expression, tonality, everything changes into sort of like a robotic delivery, and then they get out of script mode and they're back to normal. And I think the subtleties is what's important. That's what makes you appear authentic and powerful.
Beautiful. So let's recap for those that have maybe just joined. So just list out the top 3 mistakes people make in their pitch.
So number 1, they don't practice. I think what would sum it up is something that I heard from Bill McGowan, who is a media expert in America with A Current Affair. And he said, spontaneity is another word for regret.
No.
So I think that's a fantastic way to encapsulate it. And then number 2, too much detail, way too much detail. You should just concentrate on one element and explore it thoroughly. And just remember, the power of influence is in the delivery, not so much in the words per se. And then finally, number 3, don't rely too much on rote learning. Prepare as much as you can. Don't get too attached to the words that you selected. Just remember key points and then deliver it with authenticity.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So the mistake is, too much wing it, machine gun, and what was the third one? And remembering everything. That's how I'm going to remember the mistakes.
That's how you should remember it. Exactly right.
Yeah.
I probably committed the sin of too much detail in that regard.
Yeah, wing it, machine gun, and off by heart, maybe.
Off by heart, yeah. That's it.
Awesome. Excellent. So, okay, so the next thing is, all right, say we don't make those mistakes and we listen to what you've said, but then obviously everyone who gets up on stage, well, not so much once you've done it so many times and it's part of your life, but that anxiety around presenting, what are some tips you can share with our listeners around the anxiety of, sometimes people overthink, they think, oh my God, it's going to be my turn, and they're not listening to anyone else. They just keep getting sweaty palms and just keep running their speech over in their heads. So what's some of those tips that you have around overcoming anxiety?
Well, I first off want to say that please know that even the best speakers do feel a sense of butterflies in the stomach when they speak. Everyone I've spoken to, like recently I had the privilege of meeting Michael Grinder, the brother of John Grinder, who created NLP and all that. Yeah. And he's a professional speaker of many decades. And he says that, butterflies are still normal for many speakers. Obviously, the shaking and sweaty palms goes away with time, but just know that having butterflies just means you care. I'm sure many of us have heard that particular point before. And I really believe that when you really care about something, of course, you're going to feel nervous about it. Do you agree?
I agree. I agree. And when put into new situations, I still feel, that sort of anxiety and butterflies, as you say. But the more you do it and you get up, I think that subsides and you actually know how to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It just becomes much, much easier. And definitely I have to point out for this particular how to overcome anxiety section is preparation. Preparation is the key to speaking success. I can't hammer that in more. When I do my workshops, I get my workshop attendees to repeat it throughout the day 6 times in a row because I can't stress and impress upon everybody enough how important preparation is. The more prepared you are, the less anxious you'll be because you'll know that you covered all the bases. So that's number 1. Yeah. And number 2, this is a more personal and practical way, is have a ritual before you speak. Just like how sportsmen have a ritual before they go on competition day, whether it be listening to music, exercises, the way that you choose to go over your speech and your topic. I think having a ritual is very important. So for me personally, what I do is actually on the way to the speaking engagement, I listen to music. I listen to calming music that I enjoy. So for me, it's a bit of jazz. Like I like a bit of soft jazz and blues that seems to calm me down. And I think that just gets my mind right. And then when you're sitting on the chair, and I know that this probably happens to most people, you're sitting on the chair and you're thinking, oh, it's nearly my turn to go up. I'm really, really nervous. What if I forget? I find that just positive affirmations, continual positive affirmations always helps. Yeah. Always helps for me. And then finally, I think breathing. Breathing is so important. It's almost cliche, this whole thing about breathing, but everyone commits the sin of breathing very shallow, and also when they're nervous to breathe very high up in their chest. Yes. And if you just breathe and slow down and actually take big, deep breaths and calm your mind, that will allow your brain to pull up all the preparation that you've done, and you'll be able to find the words when you need them. but your brain can't operate without the oxygen. Yet so many people forget to breathe.
Yeah, I totally agree. That one's probably one of the biggest ones, the foundational one.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's almost cliche, but usually some of the simplest things are often forgotten or swept to the side because it's too simple. But definitely breathing actually helps. And it's been shown, in research that if you are able to breathe and calm your mind, then your learnings and your short-term, long-term memory, those things all operate on a higher level. So as long as you put the preparation in, you'll be able to recall what you have learnt.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I believe I read somewhere or heard somewhere that if you are breathing high up in the chest, it actually releases stress hormones rather than that diaphragmatic breathing. So yeah, awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that old saying of physiology creates psychology, and they've done that exercise where, see how you feel when you hunch over and pull a sad face. Do you feel happy or depressed, or can you feel depressed if you've got your eyes wide and you're smiling? It's the same with the breathing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. Just a couple of comments. Anna said everything you've been saying is very clear and makes so much sense. And Con's just written that as a ritual, I pray before each speaking engagement. So great. I have like a song. I sing some songs on the way to, say, for example, tomorrow and the next day we're running our 2-day brand accelerator masterclass, which means my voice is going to get overworked. And actually, I have my voice coach coming straight after this coffee chat, which is all good timing because she taught me, like, singing as well gets the voice vocal cords warmed up, so you have better projection and clarity, I guess, in your voice. Being able to use the core things that she taught me, and the whole journey with us together was to tap into more of my diaphragmatic breathing as a speaker. Over that high chest breathing, and she said that she has heard me change over the months, and as with experience as well and doing it more, it also changes as well. So beautiful, excellent, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the voice coaching is so important, isn't it? You're able to project your voice more when you can get it from the diaphragm. I find that it puts a less of a strain on your voice.
Yes, totally. Totally. So, okay, so the last question I have before I also have some more of my own questions that I ask every single guest. What are your key tips to improving our pitch construction, if you like? So, what are some key tips that you can share with us?
Well, I'm going to share 5 tips with you all today. And number 1, I think that people need to understand the context of where they're pitching and to make the proper adjustments. So what do I mean by that? You need to think about the purpose of the pitch that you're creating, and does it cater to your audience and the situation that you're in. Sometimes I see people, they use the same sort of pitching style, method, or a construction in every single place that they go to. However, some places you may want to perhaps create a joint venture rather than sell your product. You might not be appropriate. So to give an example, there's someone at the business marketplace that sells, what's it called? Like face cream and that direct sales marketing sort of business. I can't remember what it's called. Do you remember what it's called? Which is business?
Nutramedics.
Yeah. Nutramedics, right. So in a whole hall of small business owners, probably a lot of them don't require makeup or products or want to get into a direct selling business model because they're there to share their own business. But what she can do in that particular situation is actually design a pitch around creating joint ventures or asking for speaking engagements or something specific to the group itself. And I think that really is the key. Know your audience, know your purpose, and design something specific to the audience that you're in front of. And it does not always have to be about your product. It can be about like I said, joint ventures. It can be about strategic alliances. It can be about, sharing a story or sharing some sort of thing that can build up your reputation rather than just selling a product or service directly.
Beautiful. Cool.
Now, number 2, I would say impactful illustrations. One of the 9 principles that I have in my pitch creation is called impactful illustrations. And I wanted to give everybody one simple tip to enriching the visualizations of the pitch content that they create. And this is called anecdote plus analogy. So when people tell stories or give statistics around their product or service or information, a lot of the times they just leave it at that. They just tell the story, just give the statistics. So for example, 15,000 people are affected by domestic violence in Australia every year, and then they continue on it and speak more. What I would advise people to do is actually attach an analogy to create more visual impact for their audience. So with that 15,000 example, I would say something like, in Australia, 15,000 people a year are affected by domestic violence. That could fill every seat in Rod Laver Arena with its victims.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you know, Rod Laver Arena is something that we as Australians and Melburnians all know. You know, I did a little research and I found that, yeah, the capacity of Rod Laver Arena is around that number plus a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And just having that visual impact really gives some sort of, just gives a different element to the presentation.
I agree. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. And I would also say I'm using powerful headliners rather than doing your standard introduction. So most people would go, hi, my name is Eric and I'm a pitch specialist, and then continue on with their pitch. I would say follow from, you know, the old speaking masters who always teach, go with the headline first. Go with a big impactful statement. Go with the bold statement. So the other day, one of the people that we saw at the business marketplace said, I'm sorry. That's how they started with their pitch. They said, I'm sorry. And they paused really emphatically, and then they continued on with their pitch. Those things are what grabs people's attention. As soon as you go with the introduction, some people just tune out because they are expecting that sort of introduction. But if you can sort of go left of field, it always surprises people and captures their attention.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Now, number 3, I would say, don't be afraid to create tension in your pitch. A lot of people just sort of go the simple intrigue route, and they do something novel and always talk about positive things, but you should not be afraid to point out the mistakes or pain points in your particular audience. It's very important to create tension.
Nice.
What do you think? How do you feel about that tension aspect? Some people are really afraid to do that.
Yeah, I guess that, yeah, they are, but it's good to, you know, tap into the audience's pain points and make them think. And again, pause when you are creating that tension and hold the space.
Yeah, I think creating tension is so important, because if you think about what captures a person's attention, you got number 1, you know, the novelty aspect, which is, now I'm going to get a little bit sciencey, is all that dopamine related, right? When you get pleasure from it, it captures people's attention. But when you release tension or target tension in your audience, what it does is release the adrenaline, and adrenaline actually sharpens focus as well and actually gets people more alert. So that's another neurotransmitter in the human brain that causes people to sort of stand up and prick their ears and be aware of their surroundings. So starting off your pitch with tension can be a very effective method to capturing attention and separating yourself from the pack.
Beautiful. I think that explains.
Now, number 4. Yeah, go on.
No. I think that explains a lot about now that you got a little bit sciencey, it absolutely makes sense. Yeah. Keep going.
Now, number 4 is be strategic with your word use. And so you got to think that the words that you use are very powerful. So you have to be very selective with the type of words that you use. And my tip to everybody is use a thesaurus. The thesaurus is definitely your friend. When you design your pitch, you can always choose a better word, a better, more impactful word. So the difference between big, huge, massive, humongous, gargantuan, you know, these differences, these small subtle differences that you can get off the thesaurus can really liven and make your pitch so much more impactful.
Beautiful. Cool.
And the fifth one, and this one a lot of people I know definitely do not do, make sure that every time you get on stage to speak, that someone is filming you. And I don't just mean in practice, because when you film yourself in practice, that is one way to to sharpen your delivery, but to be filmed while you're actually performing on stage with the pressure, you actually see where your weaknesses are. Now, as part of my intro, you said that I like to use games in my training room. And part of the reason why I use games, and I learned this from Clinton Swain from Frontier Academy, is that games put you in this pressure situation that sort of gets you into, get you out of your comfort zone, sorry. And then you can see where your real weaknesses are. Is it in body language? Do you have idiosyncratic movements with your hands or your feet? Do you shuffle around? Is there something wrong with your tonality? Because a lot of the times, as we all know, how we think we sound may not necessarily be how we actually sound.
Yeah.
So it's so important to review those tapes because footage never lies. It's really as simple as that.
Beautiful. Thanks, Eric. We have like 4 minutes left. So we're going to go like fire machine gun to fit in the last bit that I've got for you. A couple of comments have come through. I really want to, I mean, you speak so clearly and so well, and I've always been impressed from the moment I saw you do what you do, as to, you know, you don't overuse your words. And Adair said, this guy rocks. She's from Adelaide. And we've had from Chris Dennis, who was our guest a couple of weeks ago, great tips. Eric, very useful. And a question from Elaine, who said, how did you learn this, Eric? Did you attend speakers groups like Toastmasters or Rostrum? So can you quickly answer that? And then I've got my quick 3 questions for you that come to every guest, because I'm always curious. So did you attend any?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, Toastmasters is where I discovered my speaking passion. I had not done, you know, a lot of competitive or, you know, proper public speaking groups before. Toastmasters was where I discovered my passion. I realized that I loved it just as much as I love sport. I got the same adrenaline rush. So Toastmasters is definitely it. How I learned it, study the masters, go to workshops, audio books, lectures, as much as you can. Just like with any endeavor, try to absorb as much information as you can, and then make sure you put it into practice and don't be just a knowledge gatherer.
Nice. Beautiful. All right. My 3 questions require a 20-second answer. Okay, so we can make it a minute round. How do you achieve balance between life and business? I mean, I know I don't believe in true balance. I believe in flow and needing to focus on certain things in certain areas. But what do you perceive that, you know, the good old question that everyone always says, how do you balance everything?
So number one, I definitely agree with you. I don't believe in true balance. I believe in proportional to what I need in my current situation. But if I do find that I'm getting a bit overwhelmed, I always go back to activities that relax me, the activities that have certainty, such as sport, gym, music, friends. I'm not afraid to just move away from the work and enveloping myself in what I enjoy.
Beautiful.
I don't feel guilty about that.
Good. Perfect. Excellent. Number 2 is, how do you deal or overcome or get through mental funk that may come up? As a business owner, we have moments where we can be super high and everything's going amazing and we're progressing well, but then there's those moments where we feel everything's being pulled out from under our feet. How do you deal with mental funk?
Number one, have a great support group, whether it be friends, family, you know, partner, children. Make sure that you find somebody that can support you. Number 2, I think, again, you just have to accept that life comes in waves. That's what it is. Life comes in waves, and that's the natural thing. You'll have ups and downs, seasons, and so on. So you just have to accept that.
Beautiful. And number 3 in my questions that I love, by the way, just 1 second, is that I love how you've been numbering things, because I know that that's how the brain would remember a lot easier and faster, and people can write down. So if you didn't pick up that tip as Eric's been on the call, then I strongly recommend that you do that as well. And I'm always numbering different things in my stuff. Okay, what's your helpful tool or business hack? You know, it could be an app, a book that everyone should read, just something that you feel maybe it has made an impact, or that you're using currently that you would recommend to us.
Well, I'll definitely recommend one book, and it's called Pitch Anything by Oren Clough.
Mm-hmm.
Book is called Pitch Anything, and that's a fantastic book because it explores some of the principles that I like to go into around, tension and intrigue, and utilizing more science-based principles. Oren Clough definitely explores those particular things quite well on, more entry-level sort of format. So definitely go to that book if you're looking to improve your pitch.
Cool. Excellent. Irene just said, I love that book. Just finished listening to it on audio. Brilliant. So maybe we'll post the exact name of the author in the video. I'm basically we've been filming this, so we're just going to upload it on YouTube and post it in the group. And maybe if you can comment below that on the exact spelling of that author's name. But I'm sure if people just Googled Pitch Anything book, they'll come up. And of course, Eric soon will write his own book. So he will be recommending. Well, I'll be recommending your book absolutely, because I know you would have blended all these learnings from everywhere. Perfect. Awesome. Well, guys, Eric can be reached.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. What's that? Sorry.
No, I said I'll definitely be writing that book.
Yeah, cool. Your website, you said, was going to go up last night because you were having it redone. But for now, we've got Eric's email as info@ericchan.com.au. If you guys need to reach him or you want to say hi to him, of course, he's in our Ultimate Business Support, so you can post a question to him by tagging his name in there if you really wanted to somehow to get in touch with him. And I know that particular website will be all up and running if it's not already. Okay, so thank you, Eric, for being.
Yeah, it's up and running already.
Oh, it is. Good. So www.ericchan.com.au. So I'll go check it out as well, see what it looks like. So I'm just going to do the final little logistics with our group, because we are a little bit over time now, but that's okay. So guys, realistically, our Bums on Seats Mastermind is full. So I'm not having anyone call, no more spots. We're locked in for the rest of the year. So that's all happening. The one thing, just that UBS membership is still live and happening. And obviously there's no limit to that. You get amazing bonuses by being a UBS member, in addition to attending the 2-day Ultimate Brain Accelerator Masterclass, which actually Eric is one of our UBS members. He joined at the Feb event this year that he visited, and he can come along to any of the Brain Accelerators. We've run 3 this year. Oh, someone's trying to ring me and my phone's going all crazy. Anyway, so check that out. If you want more information, just private message me. Otherwise, our last March event is happening in Melbourne. So Melbourne's 31st of March, and run by Jane and Rod. I'll be there too. So I'm just going to post up the link to that particular event. And Sydney and Adelaide happened last week, but the next lot of events are in April. For both those cities is the 19th of April, if you want to diarise it in your schedule for that. So I trust that today has been valuable. A lot of thank yous and how awesome you've been, Eric. So Colin said, thank you, great content, and go and get your week, started now. I'm all energetic, as I always am after this call. My voice coach is going to be at the door in literally under 10 minutes. So I better go off and get ready for that. Have an amazing day. Thank you, Eric. And I'll post up this recording again. If you didn't take succinct notes, I say re-listen to it and you'll pick up some new insights. I definitely took notes on my piece of paper here. And I'll see you all soon. Bye.